top, starting on the bench, kicked 2 goals late in the game in that second semi. It was Werribee that jumped the better that day, and he is one of the men who's been at Werribee when they haven't been so strong, so he'll be looking forward to playing a part today. Let's go down to ground level for the playing of the national anthem, the Victoria Navy Band. A great roar, the teams eyeball to eyeball through the band at one another. I'm sure there's butterflies there, and they are quite keen to break away now as the respective captain coaches go over to toss the coin to decide which team will have the use of the breeze. We'll be going down to Ross Booth at ground level shortly to see what he thinks about that. But triple Brownlow medalist Bob Skilton and best and fairest at Port Melbourne. He played 1 season at Port in the V.F.A, tosses the coin. Tony Elshaw wins it, and he'll be going to the scoreboard end with the breeze in this first term. Great to see the chimp here, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy it this afternoon. Port Melbourne, Coburg and Williamstown have been the common denominator in all but 2 grand finals from 1980 to 1990. As John Bell said, in 1991, a changing of the guard. Dandenong are back there, and Werribee are here for the first time. Some fresh faces, and one just gets the sense, though, the crowd now starting to find their voice, that the spectators too are not used to the situation. As we look at All Day, who'll have a great go in the ruck today. He'll probably ruck all day, as his name suggests, up against Warwick Green and Greg Doyle. So a big weight on his shoulders. And with me in commentary this afternoon, as they have been all season for the last few seasons, Phil Cleary and Sam Kekovich. There's nothing like a grand final, gents. Well, I know that you've both tipped Dandenong already. Any changes? Firstly, you, Phil.
No, I stick with Dandenong. It's there's so little separating the two teams. I think you could quite legitimately pick either side, but I just have a feeling, Sam, that Dandy will get up and win the game. I think the soft ground will help them. They do run in waves. I think they had trouble in the second semi in defence. They picked a couple of wrong cards there, but Mackenzie back on Danaher, I would suspect. I think that'll make the difference. Knight running out of defence. I think they're a very strong side. They're in form at the present time. They are very keen, as both sides are, but I just have that feeling that in the end, they'll win the game.
Yes, they've got the momentum, Sam, as opposed to the fresh team. How's that going to work out?
I agree with you, Peter. I totally concur with Phil's comments. I think their preparation and lead up to the finals has been far better than Werribee, having only played the 1 final in a month, and their form leading into the finals was ordinary, to say the least. But I selected them in the second semi-final, and whilst they got narrowly beaten, I think they can reverse the trend here today. But there's 3 things that have to evolve for them to maintain or become victorious, I believe. First and foremost, Elshaw's presence on the field is imperative from the outset. I think his presence and leadership is imperative early doors in view of the fact they've got a lot of inexperienced players, and I felt that Danaher and Morgan's prominence in that second semi-final had a telling effect against Dandenong, and I'm sure the Brain Trust would have made a note of that, and I think Mackenzie will screw down Danaher, and I'm suspecting Mullane will pick up Morgan.
Okay, let's go to Ross Booth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Peter. Well, the ground very boggy, a slight breeze to the left of screen. That's the way of Dandenong, and already in a change with Hollow and Wicks coming off the bench for Dandenong. So that's a change to their named lineup. Umpires Peter Carey and Jeff Morrow. Jeff Morrow, his 3rd V.F.A grand final.
And that is Jeff Morrow with the ball in hand. They've been out with the rollers, the Super Soppers. The ground's pretty good, and the real cry of the crowd splits the air here at Princes Park. The 91 grand final underway, and Doyle, no surprise, he started in first ruck, thumped it down to Reed. Werribee should be able to clear. They're there in numbers. And there's a whistle back behind play. And it's going to go down ground, and it's Danaher. There's Morgan. The ball will be tapped down to him. played most of his football in the back pocket, and that's Marshall that puts the pressure on Darren Morgan early on. And now an even up. We haven't seen a lot of this in the final series so far. It hasn't taken long in the grand final.
Well, players are a bit more excited when it comes to the grand final, Peter. Just testing each other. A few changes too in the lineups and the placement of players. We'll get those to you shortly.
Lesapati it was to even up against Marshall. Morgan to within 20 metres of goal. Harris makes a path, then kicks it off the ground for a behind. Harris kicked the ball. Elshaw tapped it through.
Yes, fitting contribution by both captain coaches early in the game, Peter. And Phil, there's an extra, the adrenaline flow through the body certainly accelerated on grand final day, and players would certainly be feeling that.
Murray got the job on O'Keefe. And there's the mark for Chapman.
He's picking up Rowan Welsh. Welsh is at centre-half forward. Warwick Green at full forward.
McPherson delivering wide. O'Keefe couldn't take it. Murray's outnumbered, but did very well to Marshall. Open spaces on the wing. Darren Reid, good position. Tried to get the ball onto Atkinson. And here's Rod McPherson. Hasn't played a lot of football of late. Had a hit out against Geelong reserves in that practice match last week, and he's in for the grand final. Good look before he kicked the ball, and he found Danaher. The experienced players for Werribee showing out early. Plenty of open spaces. Frank Lesapati trying to improve the angle. Grubber towards O'Keefe.